With the trade deadline less than a week away, next Tuesday, October 31st, there's been a lot of buzz going around, especially the Steelers fans, wanting Surtain to be in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform. So, here's the truth about that situation. Patrick Surtain, Denver Broncos cornerback, one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, he's gonna be on the trade block. He might not get traded, but at least the Broncos are going to listen to trade inquiries on him, as reported by Albert Beer. So, let's put it like this. The Pittsburgh Steelers have one good cornerback right now, and that's Joey Porter Jr. The other two, who are their starters, in Patrick Peterson and Levi Wallace, they're not so good. They seem to be letting up every single yardage that the wide receivers get every single week, and every single big play that happens on the field seems to be directed in one of those two's direction. And Patrick Surtain, if he was to become a Pittsburgh Steeler, it would change everything. But now, let's just look at it from a Broncos perspective before I get more into it. Looking at it from a Denver Broncos perspective, if they were smart, they would keep Patrick Surtain on the roster. He's only 23 years old, and he was drafted in the 2021 NFL Draft. He still has a lot more years left on his contract with the 50-year option and everything like that. And he's young, and that's what you want. They're a rebuilding team, and you want to draft young players. So why would you trade away one of your youngest players, 23 years old, just to get draft capital to draft another young player and take a hit on someone in the first round and expect them to be good, but you never really know. You're going to get a first round draft pick back or whatever they're going to get back in return, and you're going to draft someone, and you're going to want them to be as good as Patrick Surtain. So why not just keep Patrick Surtain on your roster? Someone that you already know is proven in this league and rated as one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. He was actually rated before the season the best cornerback in the NFL in coverage, in man coverage, and everything like that. So why would you trade him away? If they were smart, they wouldn't. But we all know the Denver Broncos lately, they have not been making any good moves, and their roster seems to be in a full rebuild, with them trading away, or at least trying to trade away, Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton, Garrett Bowles, Josie Jewell, Justin Simmons, and many more. So they seem to be in a full rebuild, and that's why this topic is even a discussion. So that's the truth of it, looking at it from a Broncos perspective. But just now looking at it from an overall and Steelers perspective, looking at Patrick Surtain, I said he could be a game changer for the Steelers, and especially in that depleted secondary, who right now, they can't cover anyone. Looking at what he's done so far this season, he's played 7 games, started 7 games, he has 1 interception, 7 pass defense, and his tackles, so far he has 25 solo tackles and 27 combined. So he's a really good cornerback, and like I said, rated as one of the best in the NFL. Compared to last season, he's not doing as well in terms of overall rating in like passer rating allowed and stuff of that nature. But Patrick Surtain overall, he would help the Steelers cornerback room out a lot. Because if you've been following along this channel, and whenever I talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers secondary, you know what I talk about the most. I talk about us having or not having a cornerback who plays up on the line of scrimmage, and all of our cornerbacks, except for Joey Porter Jr., play 10 yards back. And I hate it. I hate when the cornerback plays so far off because it allows a free release by the wide receiver, and it's so hard to recover in the NFL with a 10-yard kind of leap and a 10-yard cushion, because these wide receivers are so good at creating space, and if you're already giving them a 10-yard cushion, that means that they're going to be open every single play. So what does Patrick Peterson do? What does Levi Wallace do? They play off. They play off of the wide receiver. They allow this cushion, and that's why whenever they get targeted, it's always a completion towards them, because they play so far off, which leads the wide receiver to get open and get the catch. But on the other hand, when you watch Joey Porter Jr. play, what I like is he plays up on the line of scrimmage. Very rarely does he play off, and that's just like a very long 3rd and 15 or something of that nature. But he plays up on the line of scrimmage, and I said I like that. And when you look at him, How good has he been this season? He's allowed like 0 catches, I believe, this season. If you look at it, his passer rating before last week was 0.00, meaning that he hasn't even allowed a catch. And he's just a really good cornerback, especially in man coverage. And that's what we need for this team. We need a cornerback who's going to play up on the line of scrimmage or at least be really good in man-to-man. We have zone coverage corners right now in Patrick Peterson and Levi Wallace. But if we want to play man-to-man, the only guy we have is Joey Porter Jr. And getting Patrick Surtain on this roster will be a game changer. So, Patrick Surtain, Joey Porter Jr., having these two young cornerbacks as our cornerstones on defense with Minkah Fitzpatrick locking down the secondary, that's going to be a key for the Steelers because we already have TJ Watts, Alex Highsmith, when Cameron Heyward comes back, Larry Ogunjobi on the defensive line. But our weakness has always been our defensive backs. I can't recall in the last 20 years or so that we've had really a lockdown cornerback who we know is going to hold their own. Yes, I could say Ike Taylor, but still, a cornerback, one of the best in the league. Ike Taylor was good, but he wasn't the top of the top. So getting Patrick Surtain on this roster, it would allow the defense to do many more things. And looking at Patrick Surtain's stats, yes, I named the basic ones, but looking at the advanced snaps, he shadows a wide receiver on 45.6% of his snaps, meaning he's usually stuck on the wide receiver who's the best on the opposing team, whether that be Davante Adams, Tyreek Hill, or whoever. And he's allowed only 40 targets allowed this season, which is a 15.3% rate. And routes defended, he's defended 261 routes altogether. His average depth of route defended is 10.7 yards. And looking at the target separation that he's allowed and the receptions he has allowed this season, he's allowed 26 receptions, 353 yards, and the target separation is 1.8 yards in total for his defense. Looking at his catch rate allowed, it's 65%, and the passer rating allowed is 109.3. But even though those stats might not seem as too good as in previous years, you have to think he's guarding the other team, the opposing team's best player all the time. Like game 1 of the season, week 1, Davante Adams, week 2, Terry McLaurin, week 3, Tyreek Hill, week 4, DJ Moore, week 5, Garrett Wilson, week 6, this one's not too good, but Valdez-Scantling, and then week 7, Christian Watson. And most of the yardage that I said that he allowed, I think it was 353 yards, that basically all came against Tyreek Hill that 1 week. Because against Davante Adams, he was targeted 6 times, allowed 3 receptions, and only 16 yards. Week 2 against Terry McLaurin, he was targeted twice, and he allowed 2 receptions, 17 yards. Tyreek Hill in week 3, 7 targets, 5 receptions allowed, 121 yards. That was a bad week. And then week 4 against DJ Moore, 8 targets, he allowed 5 receptions, and 64 yards. Garrett Wilson in week 5, 6 targets allowed, 3 receptions allowed on those targets, and 31 yards. Valdez-Scantling on 5 targets, allowed 4 receptions and 49 yards, and then Christian Watson on 6 targets, he had 4 receptions and then 55 yards. So he's held his own against the top of the top competition in the NFL at the wide receiver position. And if he's only limiting those players to under 60 yards per game, that's a really good thing because they're expected to get 100 yards every single week. And if you're holding them to under that, that's a really good thing for the defense. As we've seen with the Steelers let Davante Adams get what? Like 200 yards receiving when they face them? Imagine if they had Patrick Surtain guarding them during that game. They wouldn't have allowed that. So even though I read his statistics and his passer rating allowed and stuff of that nature, and it might not seem too good, you have to think and you have to realize he's guarding the team's best player basically every single play, at least more than 50% of the snaps per game, meaning that he's going to have to allow catches at some point. This is a top of the top competition. Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, do you really expect them to get shut down the whole game knowing that they're guarding the same player every single play? Eventually they're going to get a catch. Eventually they're going to get yardage. This is expected. But he still holds his own, and the Denver Broncos, if they trade him and the Pittsburgh Steelers want him, that would be a key pickup for the Steelers. But now, quickly, just going over what it would take to get Patrick Surtain. I believe it would take at least a first round draft pick, if not multiple, or even a first round draft pick and a second round draft pick. Would the Steelers be willing to do that? Who knows? It depends how much they really like him, how much they really think he can affect this team, and if they think the Steelers are going to be a kind of playoff push team, would this help their playoff chances to win a Super Bowl? That's what Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin would have to realize. Would I be willing to give up a first round draft pick for him? Yes, because you, just like I said, you're picking someone in the draft, hoping that they could get up to the caliber that Patrick Surtain is at now. So why not just get him? He's only 23 years old, and you already know what caliber of play he has on the field. Yes, you're going to have to pay him in a couple years instead of getting someone in the draft where you're going to have to wait 5 years, but you never know if that player you draft is going to pan out. So why not get the player when you have a chance? Now, would I want to give up multiple first round picks and a second round pick and a player? No, I would not. If that's what's expected to be traded, then no, I would not be fine with that. Do not give up multiple first round picks, second round pick, and a player for him. But if it's a first and a second, or like a second, third, or two firsts, maybe. But if you're giving up multiple picks and a player, then I'm out. But Patrick Surtain, he could really help the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he's a player who could really help alongside Joey Porter Jr. and Macus Patrick in the secondary, with Patrick Pearson and Levi Wallace looking like they can't do anything out on the football field and allowing so much yardage. But with that being said, let me know down in the comments below, how do you feel about this? Would you want Patrick Surtain on the Pittsburgh Steelers if the Denver Broncos do decide to trade him? Or are you fine? Do you want them to save their draft capital, not give up a first round draft pick? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below as well if you like Steelers content, analysis, reports. Like the video, turn on post notifications down below for the channel as well, so you get notified whenever I post next Steelers video. I cover everything Pittsburgh Steelers every single day, new videos, news, rumors, highlights, reports, analysis, reactions, game breakdowns, everything like that. So like, comment, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.